Hey, this is Buck Dharma of Blue Oyster Cult, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA prime Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course the king of all those gigantic and massive cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had. Probably be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call. Find out what's for dinner. 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935 for UppercutChops.com. Yes! Welcome in to everybody listening in on all of our radio affiliates, all of our television affiliates, if I can spit that one out. Everybody's streaming, even our friends on Facebook, on Chicago Food Favorites. Thanks for joining us over there as well. Membership is growing. Better yet, they're not members. They're just people that have joined the group. It's a fun group. There's no fee. It's all free. Check it out, Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. All right, here we go. We talk about...
Show me the money!
Quite a bit, now don't we? We have this ongoing theme that there's money involved in a lot of things, and we know that. I'm not talking about salaries per se. I'm talking about money's behind the scenes and whatnot. Well, here we go. We're going to start this with a chorus of boos because this is completely ridiculous. It's lunacy and everything that you can imagine that you can throw onto it. It is awful. A California
Show me the money!
Judge has approved the NCAA House case settlement. Okay, what does this say? A California district judge granted preliminary approval to the NCAA and Power Conference's settlement of the House antitrust case. Another step in a long process toward the era of athlete revenue sharing. Yes, athlete revenue sharing.
Show me the money!
Here we go. Now, what are we talking about? Are these students? Are they student athletes? Well, you could call them two of the same, but then again, that is automatically disqualified once a dollar is involved. Now they've gotten rid of their amateur standing and become a paid professional. So Judge Claudia Wilkins of the U.S. District Court of the Northern District of California issued her ruling without a follow-up hearing, and after plaintiffs and defendants of the case clarified language in the agreement about 2 weeks ago. In fact, the two-part settlement requires schools to pay roughly $2.8 billion to former athletes for damages of lost name, image, and likeness payments. That's ridiculous. Perhaps more importantly, it permits schools, not requiring them, to share millions with their athletes. This is ridiculous. These kids are already getting scholarships to go to school and learn something. I guess they're all in the business of money now. Anyway, the settlement's new revenue sharing model is supposed to start in about 9 months or so. How ridiculous is this? It's disgusting. Wilkins' ruling in this landmark case is the latest move toward a settlement that, while not resolving all the college athletic ills, pushes the industry towards a more modernized, pay-happy structure and releases claims of some future lawsuits. But not all of them. The NCAA and Power League struck the agreement a few months ago with attorneys representing the plaintiffs in the case over the lost NIL payments. Thousands of athletes, the majority of them who played between 2017 and present day, are in line for thousands of dollars in paybacks that will come from NCAA headquarters and school revenue distribution. Much of that, of course, derived from the NCAA men's basketball tournament, which is a whole nother discussion. However, the most significant piece is an athlete's revenue sharing concept explored here. Now, schools will be permitted to directly share as much as $23 million annually with their athletes in a capped system. The cap is a fluid figure that changes annually, will increase as school revenue increases. The exact figures for this year are yet to be uncertain. But think about this, folks. First of all, what are we talking about? We're talking about the money that comes in from the TV contracts, money that comes into the university that's going to be redistributed to these alleged student athletes. Well, the problem is this. Again, they're amateurs. So therefore, amateurs don't get paid, or do they? And then worse, what happens as the revenues go down for the universities, which many of these are state universities, what happens? The tuition goes up. That's right. So the average person that's out there trying to go get an education and not trying to play a particular sport or something like that, they probably will have to pay more money in tuition to pay these would-be student athletes. This is ridiculous. Oh, yeah. And, of course, they're going to have a cap. So every year the cap is going to go up, kind of like tuition in many universities. Tuition is going to go up because the revenues allegedly may either be stagnated or the student athletes, the alleged student athletes, have to be paid more and more and more. And so therefore, those that are studying math and science and the arts, etc., the social sciences, the fine arts, etc., guess what? What do they get? They don't get nothing. All they get is stuck with a higher bill for tuition while the university just simply says, we're going to pass the buck until you
Show me the money!
That's right. That's what this crap is all about. And this settlement by this judge in California, this is a disaster. The settlement also comes with additions for, new roster limits. Explore this story. Oh, yeah. And of course, that permits programs to offer scholarships to their entire roster while they take them away from who? Math, science, the arts, economics, etc., etc. Yeah, how does that work? This doesn't make any sense at all for the rest of the university system. Though not solving all the woes of the industry, Yahoo Sports says the settlement is expected to move college sports closer to a more professionalized model. You think? A move to stave off court rulings and state laws that continue pushing college administrators to share more of their revenue with athletes. Think about that statement. A move to basically put off the court rulings and the state laws that continue pushing administrators, the colleges, to share more of the revenue, more of their revenue with athletes. Now, why would they do this? We'll talk about this in the next segment, but we're going to continue on here. However, the settlement does not completely avoid some future legal challenges, does not prevent athletes from being deemed employees, and still may need the assistance of Congress, NCAA, and college leaders, as they have for the last 5 years, continue to lobby on Capitol Hill. Oh yeah, what's that about?
Show me the money!
That's right. More lobby dollars, more slush fund. No school share revenue with athletes, and schools can choose to opt out of the settlement. Commissioners of several basketball-only playing conferences and those in the FCS say they do not expect many of their schools to opt into the settlement. several programs in the group of 5 ranks are not expected to share much, if any, revenue with athletes, as much of those schools are hamstrung financially because student fees and state tax dollars, etc., are wiping out the athletic department in the first place. So they can't seem to get the recruits there. Why? The rich get richer. Power 5 or Power 4 now keeps getting richer. The settlement targets the revenue-producing football schools of power conferences. For most now, Power League administrators have worked to devise strategies for the impeding revenue-sharing concept, creating contract templates with athletes, reorganizing their boost collectives, and adding personal deals for negotiations. This is one big steaming pile of you-know-what. Collective groups. These are the biggest ones, in my opinion. These are the biggest rip-off artists, in my opinion, because what they're saying is, yeah, we're going to go ahead and we're going to represent these student athletes, almost like an intermediary, a consigliere, right? Some people call them a consigliere. It's a consigliere, right, for the student athletes, which basically say we're going to go ahead and we're going to take off a certain percentage, like the unions, right? Those sweetheart union deals. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take money off the top, and we're going to make money as collectives, but we're a third party. We're a third-party agent. Nonetheless, those people have gotten their hands into that big pot of money, and it's getting ugly and uglier. Over the next several months, attorneys, of course, will notify those former players who stand to receive some of the back payments, and those who object to the settlement can file those objections. I wonder what Keyshawn Johnson's going to do. That's going to be interesting. Anyway, folks, back here in a few minutes, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this when we come back. Don't go anywhere. Right here on the Sports Circus.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935. Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Could you use a little extra money right now? If you'd like to borrow up to $100,000 and get pre-approved in minutes, call the number we'll give you at the end of this commercial. Our lending partners have already loaned millions of dollars to individuals just like you, and we're ready to lend you up to $100,000 if you qualify. Even if your credit is not perfect, you could use the money to pay off high-interest credit cards, for home renovations, or consolidate existing debt. You can get flexible, easy-to-pay terms. The consultation to find out if you qualify is free. To find out if you qualify for our special financing program, call this toll-free number 24 hours a day. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. That's 800-335-1376. Important terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Loan amount, annual percentage rate, and term will vary depending on creditworthiness. Applying does not guarantee approval. Account approval is subject to verification and confirmation of your credit history and acceptance by a lender. If you choose to apply for a loan through us, a consumer report will be obtained to evaluate your creditworthiness in connection with your application for credit.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door. floor without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at uppercutchops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at uppercutchops.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's csncoyotes.com for the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. All right, welcome back to everybody listening in on all of our affiliates. From Honolulu all the way over to Atlanta, a whole bunch of points in between, even up and down the East Coast. Special hello to our friends over in Auburn, Alabama, WAUD, and that's 12:30 a.m., home of the Atlanta Braves, and to our friends over in Atlanta on WDJY 99.1 FM, as well as our friends in Honolulu on KHKA CBS Sports 1500, home of the 49ers, the Yankees, and the Alabama Crimson Tide. All right. So this whole name, image, and likeness settlement nonsense, it is nonsense. And he says, why is he spending time talking about Judge Claudia Wilkins of the U.S. District Court of the Northern District of California? Well, the problem that I have with this is layers deep. It's kind of like peeling an onion back, layers and layers and layers and layers. Now, remember, no school is required to share the revenue. But what ends up happening is if they don't now, because of this ridiculous model, if they don't pay their students, their student athletes, their alleged student athletes, now they're likely to transfer out somewhere else, which could hurt what? It could hurt attendance, because now you're not getting the best players, the best recruits, whatever. The problem is this system has been flawed, and we go all the way back to UCLA, and I know this has been probably going on before this, but two people I know that played for John Wooden, I know them personally, and they had shared particular details with me regarding how John Wooden, back in the 1960s and 70s, when UCLA was the great basketball team, whatever. Well, John Wooden, as it had his people, his team, whatever, I don't know, this is all hearsay, of course, we have to say it that way, because I don't know firsthand, I don't have this, but I heard this firsthand from players, two players particularly, that played for him, that UCLA was paying its players back in the 60s and 70s. That's right, UCLA, University of California, Los Angeles. Yes, they were paying, allegedly, their student athletes. And that in itself is a complete travesty. And you wonder why they won and they won and they won. Well, they had the best players, the best recruits, all that fun stuff. Well, guess what happens? When that happens, well, yeah, you get the better recruits, the better players. So you bring them from across the country, and then you bring them into where? You bring them into your university. And now you basically have an all-star team. And this is completely unfair. So this started probably way before then, but that was the first known knowledge of it. But people don't talk about it because it's the great John Wooden. And, I mean, it pains me to hear that this has happened way back in the day, because you always want to think of those teams with Lou Alcindor, and you may know him as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and all those other great players from UCLA. Well, it appears as that some or many or only a couple, whatever, there was some money floating around out there. New cars, new this, new that, whatever. So unfortunately, this model has only gotten worse and worse and worse. And as we look at the model moving forward of what they want to do, when I say they, now this is an NCAA forced upon issue. Now you have the court system saying, okay, well, they want to move towards a more, I guess the term was a professionalized situation, a professionalized model. And honestly, I just scratch my head with this and say, what are we doing here, folks? What are we doing? We have taken away one of America's great things, which is college sports, and we have turned it into money, money, money. Now the school, you say, well, okay, well, the schools have turned it into money a long time ago. Whatever. They were educating kids. The problem is these schools that don't have money are going to be left further and further and further behind. That's the issue. There is no equality. People say, well, we want a balanced playing field and all this other crap. No, they don't. If that were the case, then we wouldn't have colleges or universities going from Conference A to Conference B to Conference C to Conference D, whatever, and traveling. Look at the ACC. And the ACC, one of America's better academic conferences, only behind the Ivy League, which is a little suspect these days anyway. So Stanford and Cal travel now from the Bay Area all the way to the East Coast to play their football games, soon to be basketball games, and so forth. Why? Why would they make the move? It's real simple, folks.
Show me the money!
And we'll show you bigger contracts. So, unfortunately, those universities have some explaining to do to certain members of the alumni base, to the media, and so forth. Those universities have basically, in my opinion, sold their soul. In the same way, back in the day, I used to respect Notre Dame, but I don't respect Notre Dame anymore because, number one, academics, they have fallen off. B, there's so much money and time and effort put on athletics, they have compromised their academics, in my opinion, as a college recruiter for the last 24 years. And the University of Michigan has done the same thing. They have gone from a spectacular academic institution just to a good academic institution. And that is a little disheartening. And I'm fearful for schools like the Cal Berkeley Bears, like the University of California, Berkeley. Are they going to fall under the same situation because of money is ruling everything? Because Cal, albeit their people are a little bit rebellious, they're graduates, they're teachers, etc., which is fine, whatever. What I'm worried about is that they may compromise their academics for athletics. Can you imagine if Stanford did that as well? Basically moving from the West Coast to the East Coast, and so they are ACC West. But why'd they do it? Why wasn't the Pac-12 good enough when you had Washington, Oregon, SC, UCLA, Stanford, Cal, the University of Arizona? Those were the better schools in the Pac-12. We'll even throw Utah in there. But the point is, they've all left the Pac-12. So now you have the Pac-7.5. It's all money, money, money. And they say they want to move to some kind of a professional model, like a professional sports model. Why are they trying to do that? The universities aren't trying to do that. No, the NCAA is pushing the financial piece to stay where it is because they want their money. But unfortunately, moving a college sports program closer to a more professionalized model just to keep court rulings and laws, whatever, from pushing administrators to share more money, what is this all about? Have we vacated the idea of academics? Have we vacated the idea of research and development? What are we talking about here, folks? I don't know. I mean, this whole thing is awful in every imaginable way. And the reason we're spending so much time on it is because education is the cornerstone of every national, state, and localized economy. That's why. Speaking of which, we go back to these college football rankings. And of course, we had all kinds of chaos happen in the top 25. And we're going to run down this real quick just because we can. Starting with number 1, Texas. Texas with an easy win over Mississippi State, and they move up one to the number 1 slot. Ohio State with an easy win over Iowa, 35-7. They move up to the number 2 slot. Oregon moves up 3 slots with a win at Michigan State. There's one of those cross-country travels. Penn State moves up to number 4, up 3 slots with a win over hapless UCLA. Sorry, UCLA, we mentioned you earlier. Georgia stays the same at number 5 with a 31-13 win over War Eagle. Tell you what, Auburn, you better get your act together. It's not looking good over there. Come on, let's go, boys. Miami jumps up 2 slots to number 6 with a win over the Cal Bears, 39-38 in an unthinkable, improbable game. Alabama only dropped 6 slots, losing to unranked Vanderbilt. Imagine that. And that was at home. They lost only 6 slots. Why is that? Oh, I wonder why.
Show me the money!
Maybe a little bit of that. I don't know. Tennessee drops 4 slots with a loss to Arkansas. They're at number 8. Ole Miss, number 9, jumps up 3 with a win over South Carolina on the road. Clemson jumps up 5 slots to number 10 with a win at Florida State. Iowa jumps up 5 slots with a win at Baylor. That's a really nice win. They double them up over there. Notre Dame jumps up 3 to a number 11 with a win at Louisville. LSU remains the same with their win against South Alabama. Brigham Young up 3 with a win. Texas A&M up 10 to number 15 with a win over Missouri. And that's crazy to imagine right there. Also, it was 16 Utah. They jumped up 2 slots from number 18 with a win at Arizona. Very good Arizona team. Boise State jumps up 4 with a win over Utah State. Indiana at 6-0 jumps up 5 slots to number 18 with a win at Northwestern. Oklahoma goes up 1 with a win. Well, we talked about that one. And then it just keeps going. Kansas State up 2 with a win at Oak State to number 18. Missouri drops 12 slots with their loss to Texas A&M. How come Alabama didn't drop more? Pittsburgh stays the same. Illinois goes up 1 to 23. Michigan drops 14 with their loss at Washington. And SMU stays the same at number 25. Back here in a few minutes on the Sports Circus live from Las Vegas. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come. I'm your Ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime, nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Hello Americans, it's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time, that's 800-950-2049.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
That's ridiculous.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by the Sports Circus. Make sure to check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, to record shows, which are a podcast. No, we don't do a podcast. We just happen to store them on the podcast platform. In fact, there's over 2,000 episodes of the Sports Circus available on pick your favorite platforms such as Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Audible, Pandora, iHeartRadio, etc., and so forth. Also, make sure you check out the partners page. Lots of great partners on that partners page. One of them that's been with us for quite some time, we already mentioned. We're going to mention them again just because we really like them. They've been with us since the beginning. That's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Again, check them out, folks, at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. You know, in fact, the College of Southern Nevada, it's a very good school, arguably the best school in Southern Nevada. And that includes the local universities. There's a couple of those. But I believe, in my opinion, it is a very good school. It's a very affordable school. They turn out some very good talent. And their graduates do very, very well in our local and regional marketplace. How do you like that? All right. Now over to the college football standings. We're going to mention this real quick, then we're going to move on to baseball. We think about these super conferences. This is kind of maddening to imagine. And so I talked a little bit about the Atlantic Coast Conference, the ACC, which of course added Stanford and Cal. Now, mind you, when it comes to football, there's 17 programs here. And it looks like Cal is number 15, if I'm not mistaken. They're number 15 in this. One. There's no divisions within this conference. No, it's just a pile of 17 teams. Coming in at number 14 are the Cal Bears. Strike that, 15. The Cal Bears at number 15. Stanford is number 13. They're 2-3 overall, 1-2 in the conference. The Cal Bears are 0-2 and 3-2 overall. That conference is led by Clemson. Everybody seems to discount Clemson. Clemson is 3-0 in conference play. Miami is 2-0, but Miami is 6-0 overall and ranked number 6, while Clemson is ranked number 10. SMU, another newcomer to the ACC, is third at 2-0 and 5-1 overall, ranked number 25. Not bad. And so when you look at the other schools in this conference, you say, all right, well, is this conference upside down from where they want it? No, I wouldn't necessarily say, though. This is exactly where it ought to be. And honestly, as the ACC evolves, look, they have 17 teams. My guess, they're going to go to 20. The 4 power conferences that are remaining will all probably, in my opinion, go to 20 teams, which makes the most sense. So you have 4 divisions of 5 teams or five schools. Now, over the American Athletic, they had some changes as well. I think they may be even losing some teams coming up here. Coming in first place so far, how do you like this? Army in first, Navy in second. How do you like that? So 4-0 and 3-0 in conference play, both 5-0 overall, and both unranked, I'll have you know. Nonetheless, when you look up and down this conference, I mean, who is poachable? I think both of the military academies can be poached potentially into the Pac 7.5, which is known as the Pac-12, which really is the Pac-2 plus 5.5 schools, and the half is Gonzaga because they don't count as a full member because they don't have a football team. So who could leave here? Army and Navy could leave. Tulane could leave. There's 3 schools. I don't necessarily believe North Texas would go anywhere, but I do believe that Temple could be lured away, and so could Rice. So you could see 4 schools potentially leave this conference. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, so they would still have 10 even if they lost those 4. Now, that might not be a bad situation. Over in the Big 12, you've got, I think, 16 schools. Or, I think so. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, you have 16 schools, and they're probably going to go to 20, so you have to wonder where they're going to poach theirs from. And a logical fits to the Big 12, of course, would be Rice. They would fit in very well in there. Tulane would fit very well in there, just in terms of demographics. But demographics don't seem to mean much these days. But Texas Tech in first place in the Big 12 at 3-0, 5-1 overall, unranked. Mind you, Brigham Young, a newcomer to the Big 12, is 2-0 in conference, 5-0 overall, ranked number 14. Iowa State 2-0, 5-0 overall. The Buffaloes from Colorado, a newcomer to the Big 12, 2-0, 4-1 overall. The Utah Utes, then what? Two Utes. The 2 Utes, the Utes, it says Utah Utes. It almost looks like Utes. Anyway, they're ranked 16, 1-1, 4-1 overall. How is that the case? How are they ranked at 4-1 when Texas Tech is 5-1 and 3-0 in conference play and they're unranked? That doesn't make a lot of sense. But anyway, you look at the Big Ten now, the Big Ten with, I think, 18 teams. Indiana sits atop. Yes, Indiana sits atop the Big Ten in football for the first time in a very, very long time. And I went to an arch rival university. I'm even giving them an applause. That's incredible. Those guys are playing really good ball. I'm kind of rooting for them right now in a strange way. The Oregon Ducks, now mind you, Indiana's 3-0 in conference play and 6-0 overall. Mind you, Oregon is 2-0 in conference play and 5-0 overall and ranked number 3. Yet Indiana is 6-0 and ranked number 18. Ohio State is 2-0 and 5-0, just like Oregon, and ranked number 2. Penn State, same as those two, and they're ranked number 4. So 2, 3, and 4 have worse records than the division leading or conference leading Indiana Hoosiers at 6-0. Those are all 5-0, and they're ranked number 2, number 3, and number 4. That makes no sense. Nebraska, unranked at 5-1, is in 5th place in the Big Ten, and we go all the way down to the very bottom. In 18th place is UCLA at 0-3 and 1-4 overall. USC is somewhere in the middle of the pack at about 13th place at 1-2 and 3-2 overall. At least the 3-2 is respectable. Think of these new teams in the Big Ten. And then we look at Washington. Yes, Washington in the Big Ten as well, which makes no sense to me. They come in and 7th, 6th place. Sorry, folks, it's a very long list, and they're not numbered. Anyway, Washington 2-1 in conference play, 4-2 overall. It's so weird. So you see previous Rose Bowl matchups over the decades and decades, over the last century. Now they all play in the same conference. I mean, honestly, folks, I don't think this is good for college football, college basketball, college baseball. I don't like it. It's just money, and it's awful. Moving on. Conference USA has, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 teams, and they're going to stay with those 10 likely. And the leader of Conference USA is the Sam Houston Bearcats at 2-0, 5-1 overall, followed by the Liberty Flames at 2-0 and 4-0 overall. Yes, even loyal listener Larry would be proud of that one. So the reality is the Conference USA has sort of stayed the same, Independence, of course, is Notre Dame. UConn and UMass. UConn and UMass will likely be poached by the ACC, I'm going to guess, and Notre Dame. If they end up going anywhere, they'll have to go to the ACC. Otherwise, they'll pay an enormous fine because their basketball program is there and all the other sports are there. Unfortunately, the football isn't. In the Mid-American Conference, that has stayed the same. It's unchanged, and it's Eastern Michigan ahead of the Toledo Rockets only in alphabet because they're both 4-1 overall, 1-0 in conference. And the Buffalo Bulls, not to be confused with the Buffalo Bills, are in third, 3-2 overall, 1-0. And let's look down the trough a little bit here. And we look at the Northern Illinois Huskies. They're 0-1 in conference play, 3-2 overall, with their win in South Bend over Notre Dame. Gotta like that. Over in the Mountain West, now, of course, they're changing a whole lot of things here in the Mountain West Conference. Next season, you're going to see the subtraction of Fresno State, Colorado State, San Diego State, Boise State. They're all gone. And so the Pac-12 or the Pac-2 goes to basically the Pac State University system outside of Gonzaga, who has joined for basketball. But it's San Jose State, who really turned their program around over the last few years. They are tied with UNLV at 4-1. Boise State also 4-1 overall, but San Jose State in first place in the Mountain West Conference at 2-0. Fresno State a surprising 1-1 where they stand. The Pac-2, well, both teams are 4-1 and they're 0-0 in conference play. Yeah, right. There's a round of boos there because they've actually played very well against their former conference mates. And the SEC, which is 16 teams long, somehow Texas A&M in first place at 3-0. Not really sure. That team rarely scores, but they did score on Missouri, which is surprising because Missouri has a great defense. Nonetheless, they're 3-0, first place, 5-1 overall, ranked 15. Texas 1-0, 5-0, ranked number 1. LSU the same, 1-0, but 4-1, and on we go. And all the way in last place, unfortunately, are those Auburn Tigers. Not looking good. Let's go, boys. War Eagle, you better figure it out. Back here in a few minutes. Going to talk some baseball right here on the Sports Circus live from Las Vegas. Don't go anywhere.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.
If you served in the Marine Corps, by now you know about the contaminated water problem at Camp Lejeune. If you were stationed or worked at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1987, you probably have a lot of questions. We have some answers. You could be entitled to compensation. Billions of dollars are being allocated to pay for damages to anyone stationed at Camp Lejeune during that time. Unfortunately, it appears that officials may have known the contaminated water problem existed and did little to protect their men. The Semper Fi Code was not honored. If you or someone in your family has developed a serious illness, including various forms of cancer, call this Camp Lejeune legal support line right now. You can't turn back the clock and change what happened, but you can certainly call right now and learn your rights as a Marine. Here's the number.
Call 800-335-7196. 800-335-7196. That's 800-335-7196.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 702-799-9935 at 702-799-9935, 702-799-9935, or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Folks, make sure to check out thesportscircus.com and all of our upcoming guests, our prior guests, recorded shows, which we mentioned previously. Get on over to that partners page. Oh, by the way, there's also a page you can pick up some of that great merch, too. If you want a Sports Circus hat, t-shirt, hoodie, who knows, you may want it. Even some office supplies, too. We got all kinds of cool stuff over there. A shameless plug for the Sports Circus. Anyway, make sure you check out those partners. One of our partners, longtime partner, and very close friend of the show, Al's #1 Italian Beef at 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago, in Chicago's Little Italy. Folks, if you don't know what an Italian beef sandwich is, you better figure it out. You better go check it out. It is like a roast beef sandwich, like a French dip, but it is dunked. Some call it baptized, some call it dipped. I have to tell you, it is incredible. One of those long, slow-cooked sandwiches. You say, well, you know, it's fast food. No, it's not. It is incredible. Check it out at alsbeef.com, alsbeef.com, 1079 West Taylor Street. If you're in Chicago, 1079 West Taylor Street. Or again, check them out at alsbeef.com. All right, welcome back to everybody. TV and radio, streaming. Big hello to our friends on Chicago Food Favorites over on Facebook. Thanks for joining us. There's over 1,500 strong on there now. And we started it just as something for fun. And it still is fun, if you know what I mean. All right, baseball. Baseball's fun. How about that? How about postseason baseball? About a week or so ago, we gave a prediction regarding all the series, looking at that bracket, the playoff bracket. Start out with the Astros and the Tigers, and we gave away the Detroit Tigers upsetting the Astros. We also gave away the Kansas City Royals over the Baltimore Orioles. We also gave away the New York Metropolitans over the Milwaukee Brewers, and we also gave away, yes, the San Diego Padres over the Atlanta Braves. But in the next round, we gave away the LA Dodgers over the San Diego Padres. Still waiting on that one. We also gave away the Phillies over the New York Mets. Still waiting on that one. Just like we gave away the Clevelands, because I don't like to call them the Guardians. We gave away the former Cleveland Indians, which are now the Guardians. We gave away Cleveland over Detroit. And we gave away the Yankees over the Kansas City Royals. Now, it looks like we're going to have 4 winners here, at least 3 out of 4. Our matchup, as we had stated at the beginning of the playoffs, when the playoffs started, when this bracket came out, we gave away the Dodgers and the Cleveland Guardians, and we had the Cleveland Guardians upsetting the LA Dodgers. Why? Because Cleveland plays good fundamental baseball, kind of like the Arizona Diamondbacks, who lost on the last day of the season. We actually had them all season long playing Cleveland in the World Series. But, of course, the only other team that Arizona could beat, well, in the playoffs, that is, was the Dodgers. So we actually had the Dodgers being eliminated by Arizona. Well, that matchup did not happen. But the Dodgers, they will get past the San Diego Padres. But the Dodgers don't play the same type of ball that the Cleveland Guardians play. And honestly, if it was the Dodgers and Yankees and Dodgers play a very similar game. If it was Kansas City and the Dodgers, Kansas City would give the Dodgers a lot of trouble too. Because these American League Central teams, they generally play small ball. They know how to advance the runners over. They steal bases. They stretch the single into a double, double into a triple. This is just what they do. And I think those teams will give the Dodgers the most trouble, especially in the bullpen where the Dodgers are very, very shaky. And you look at these games, just like the Phillies. The Phillies have a terrible bullpen. But, boy, they have good starting pitching. The bullpens can't seem to hold on to anything. And they're winning games almost like the Dodgers in those 7-6 kind of games. So the American League teams are going to give the National League teams fits. The only team that I think could really win against these American League Central teams would be the New York Mets, because they just have this big momentum thing going late innings in the games. Man, they are playing. It's unbelievable when you say, well, how good are they? I don't know how good they are, but what we do know is that certain teams have these home field advantages, and you shake your head and say, well, why is it? And the New York Mets actually are number 2 in this home field advantage in the postseason. And this is, according to multiple sources, with all due respect to the 1969 Miracle Mets, who clinched the World Series with a Game 5 win over the Orioles, the most memorable fall classic event at Shea Stadium, and maybe at any stadium. It took place in 1986 in the bottom of the 10th, in a game tied at Game 6. The infamous Bill Buckner threw the legs thing. That was awful. Anyway, 2 days later, also at home, the Mets overcame a 3-0 lead to win Game 7 and finish off that classic. I mean, look, the Mets just, for whatever reason, they're peaking at the right time. They're winning the games late in the games, which is demoralizing to the other team. And the Mets have a very serious 26-13 record at Shea Stadium prior to. But let me tell you something. What they're currently doing at Citi Field is unprecedented. But the team that allegedly has the biggest home field advantage over the last 20 years are the Phillies. In fact, most of the playoff games came during the heyday, of course, that Ryan Howard, Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins core, including a magical 2008 run, blah, blah, blah. They finished 11-3, and they beat the Tampa Bay Rays to win the World Series, etc. But the Phillies have a 29-14 record at Citizen Bank Ballpark, which is the home of the Phillies, apparently. And I say that because there's always a sponsor name change and all this other crap. Anyway, it's the Phillies, apparently, that have this home field advantage lead over the other teams. Now, the old Busch Stadium, that was a very, very friendly place, of course, for the St. Louis Cardinals. They finished 35-18, a .660 record from 1966 to 2005. That was one place that was very tough to play. The Orioles Memorial Stadium before the Camden Yards, 19-11 at home, .633. The New York Yankee Stadium previous, not the current Yankee Stadium, from 1923 to 2008, 101-60. Imagine a full season, minus one game, of playoff games played at Yankee Stadium, former Yankee Stadium. How ridiculous is that to even imagine that? I mean, look, whatever you think, it doesn't really matter because these guys played very, very, very well there. I mean, there could be thousands of words. The Yankees' preposterous playoff dominance over the 20th century. But the fact that they won 26 rings during that century, 27 overall, while playing at this same original stadium speaks for itself. The San Francisco Giants' current ballpark, they're 25-15 at .625 record. That's pretty damn good. The Kansas City Royals' Kauffman Stadium, they're 24-15. When they get in the playoffs, they do very well. They're at a .615 win clip. Current Yankee Stadium, 26-16, right behind, well, in number 8th ranked, behind the Kansas City Royals. That's the 2009 to present team. Number 9, the Detroit Tigers, in their current situation, from 2000 present, we'll just say in the last Comerica Park there, from 2000 present for the last 24 years. They're 14-9, which is very respectable, a 609 win percentage. And the current Busch Stadium where the Cardinals play, they're 26-18, which isn't really great, but it certainly isn't bad because you're above 500. But notice the Cardinals are there twice. Notice the Yankees are there twice. There are certain teams that just win in postseason history. And let's face it, the Dodgers do a little bit of that too, but notice they're not on the list. But you know what is on the list, which is kind of interesting? If you go to L.A. and you go to Little Tokyo, it's turned into Ohtani land. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, let's face it. You know, it's a cool place. I like Little Tokyo. It's a fun place. Great food, by the way. And it's right adjacent to the center of downtown L.A. And there's all kinds of great food there. But there you've got this 150-foot Shohei Ohtani on the side of the Miyako Hotel building. Now, what's cool about this big mural is it was painted in a handful of days, and it was done freehand. There was no sketches or no outlines or whatnot, like coloring between the numbers and stuff like that. No, this was all done freehand. I mean, that is pretty exciting when you think about this ridiculous, large, incredible mural. I mean, this is one of those things that you've really got to see for yourself. And look, I'm not a big Ohtani fan because I know he can't, in my opinion, can't hit an up and in pitch. But anyway, this is one heck of a mural. But Little Tokyo is one of those hidden places in LA that most people don't go to. And I will tell you that it's good that way only because it's not overcrowded, overpopulous. And even I used to work at 6th and Spring right next to the Jewelry District in downtown Los Angeles, and I can assure you that once you cross the 101 freeway over to Little Tokyo, it is a very different world from what goes on in regular, typical downtown Los Angeles. Now, every neighborhood has this thing, and pick your favorite city. In New York, you've got Mulberry Street, right, Little Italy. And in San Francisco, Little Italy would be North Beach. And then in San Diego, Little Italy would be Grape Street. And, of course, on Taylor Street in Chicago. And on we go. But you've got Chinatown next to them, next to each one of those. But generally speaking, once you get away from that center commerce area and pick your favorite city, you typically have a cool little neighborhood. Well, Little Tokyo in LA is one of those little neighborhoods that it's a city within a city, but it's confined, and there's a lot of safety there. There's no safety issues whatsoever there, in my opinion. Never had a problem. I've been there many, many, many times. But I can assure you that each one of these little cities, for the most part, they almost have their own policing outside the regular police. So they're generally pretty safe. And more importantly, you get great ethnic experiences, whether it's Chinese or Italian or German or Polish or Japanese or Vietnamese. There's all kinds of really good ones. I love the Indian neighborhoods, and you get great Indian food. In fact, there's a really cool little area like that in Los Angeles, just south of UCLA, which we mentioned before, over in that southern part of Westwood and that part of LA and West LA off of Olympic Boulevard and Westwood Boulevard. It's really, really cool. There's great food over there, great shopping, great cultural experiences. Folks, get out and explore cultures and the different food types in your cities or your areas. Believe me, there's lots to be had out there, and I can assure you, you'll enjoy those experiences. Well, folks, that's going to do it for the Sports Circus today. I'm your Ringmaster Sal. A big thanks to our friends over at Chicago Food Favors for joining us, as well as all of our sponsors and all of our partners. And we'll see everybody right here on your favorite station in about 23 hours. Until then, so long, everyone.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.